Guys, what's going on? Live video from DOF. Been working a lot lately. Different things like that going on. But I wanted to finally get on here and give you guys some of my thoughts about what's been transpiring around the country and some things like that. I got Agar down here, so that's why I'm filming around the tennis court. You might not see him yet, but you will. So I hope everybody's doing good. We're getting closer to Christmas, and the time is fast approaching us. But I wanted to get into this, and I've had a lot of people talk to me about the Rittenhouse trial and different things, and give my thoughts and opinion. First of all, I want to say right off the bat, that prosecutor was horrible. He was the worst. He actually pointed an AR-15 at the jury with his finger on the trigger during the court trial. You can look it up. There's pictures all over the internet. He knew nothing about guns. He said that hollow points explode when they go inside of something. He said explode, not expand. The judge corrected him. Hey, Paul, Keith Gregory, what's up? That's what his message said. Hey, Paul. Anyway, so he said that people use hollow points for hunting and just all kinds of stuff that was just totally incorrect. Let me tell you, let me go a step further back than that. The initial blame, first of all, on how things can get ramped up. Now, everybody's responsible for their own actions and what they do. But when you have a media that uses its whole existence, a mainstream media that uses its whole existence to divide this country by race and to tear this country apart, that's where it starts. That's the fuse, right? So you have somebody get shot by police, and as long as they're not white, the media is going to spin and twist and use wee little bits of video and little 30-second snippets of video and whatnot, and proclaim the whole time that what happened was wrong, racist, and unjust. Now, the bad part about that is when they retract their story later on down the line, it's too late. Once the mainstream media goes with the initial narrative and it gets out there, that's it. There's no going back. The retraction will never ever get as much publicity as the initial stories of what they say happened. Just like with the Sandman, that kid that was there, and he never even messed with the guy, and the Indians came up to him and, were beating a drum in his face, and he just stood there. I mean, I think he got a couple hundred million from CNN because they played a 10-second clip and said it was racism. Now, this is a fuse for a lot of people. Okay, secondly, in Kenosha, the governor and the mayor had full opportunity and had their full, I'm trying to think of the word. They had their full rights and ways with bringing in the National Guard. Everything was set to go. The groundwork was laid. The National Guard would arrive. The National Guard would take up into the city before anything happened, and the National Guard would protect everything and the businesses and everything. But because of political correctness, they denied the National Guard. They denied it. Not only did they deny the National Guard, they held back law enforcement. They let mob rule control the city. Political correctness. I've been told since I was a young guy that political correctness will ruin a country. How does it ruin a country? Well, it ruins it in many ways. They didn't call in the National Guard and held back the police because they didn't want the mob to think that they were against the mob. They didn't want the leftist mob to think that they were against them. So when you do that, you have to deal with the consequences that your city's going to get burnt down and the buildings. And there's going to be all kinds of tragedies and things happen. When they denied the National Guard and they held back police and let the mob come in to burn down the city, it created a vacuum. That vacuum will be filled. It will be filled, no matter if they like it or not. Somebody's going to step in there with the guts and with the wherewithal to take care of that. Agar. And that is exactly, you know, what was going on with that situation. They had people coming in there to protect businesses and to protect the community because of what was going on, and there was nobody else there to do it. You know, that's some of the reasons why they don't want us to be armed, is because of that. They don't want us to be able to protect the things and to have our own way. Sorry, I was distracted with the dog. So, when they pulled everybody back, they now know that once what happened with Kyle and he was attacked, they know that the responsibility, first of all, could have been avoided, okay? It could have been avoided by them doing what they should have done and having the National Guard come in. The National Guard could have even let people go down there and protest and just not let them burn up a city. But they didn't do that. They didn't want the left to feel that they were against them. So, you're going to have people that's going to step in and is going to try to help. Now, this was a clear-cut case of self-defense. And one of the rare times that every single self-defense shot was on video. It was all documented 100%. There was no he said, she said. It was documented from sometimes several angles, sometimes not, but it was all on video. Let me tell you guys, let me kind of sidetrack here and tell you guys something else. Here's how self-defense stuff works. If it's a clear-cut case of self-defense, the prosecutor, it won't even go to court. The prosecutor won't take it. The prosecutor has to decide if he'll take the case, if there's a case there. If you took every self-defense case and took it to court, it would cost taxpayers millions upon millions of dollars. Okay? For instance, you got a guy on drugs. He's strangling a couple of women that come out of a store, and he's all hyped up on drugs, and he's trying to do whatever. Somebody comes up, and the guy's trying to attack everybody. He shoots the guy, right? The guy that he shot that was on drugs has a criminal list as big as a phone book. The prosecutor sees this. He says, "I'm not even going to take this," right? It's a clear-cut case of self-defense. Just because a self-defense shooting happens does not mean it's a guarantee that the court trial is going to go through. In Florida, Zimmerman was never going to go through a court trial. They let him go back home. It was only when the Justice Department stepped in, because, again, the media wanted to racially divide and stir things up. Then the feds stepped in and they made Zimmerman go to court. Originally in Florida, Zimmerman, for that self-defense shooting, was never even going to go to court. The prosecutor deemed that there wasn't enough there to have a case. So what I'm trying to tell you is it doesn't always go to court, and this should not have went to court. So the prosecutor knew this, but it was all political. And they wanted to take the responsibility off of the governor and the mayor's hands of that city and state. That was the goal. They wanted to take the responsibility off of themselves and shuck it onto somebody else. And if he was found guilty, that would have helped them feel, like that. That would have made their case for that. So, it was never a question that it was pure self-defense. And anybody that's seen the videos could see that. You had the guy pointing a gun right at his head. The guy's lucky he didn't get killed. He's lucky just his arm got blown off. So he should be happy. Now he's trying to sue. He's trying to get rich. So the whole thing is like I said, political correctness will ruin a country. You've seen how it happened there. Cities being burned down all summer. Also, another way that political correctness will ruin a country is when people choose people for high positions based on what they look like and their ethnicity and culture and background over skill. You always want skill first. If I was going to a shooting match and when I got there I had to pick a partner, I would be watching people shoot, and I would pick the best one for me. The shooter that has strengths where I might have a weakness. The shooter that can do things that I may have a hard time with, to partner up with in this contest, right? If I go into the shooting contest and I say, I'm going to pick a such and such X ethnicity, height, weight, color, hairstyle, and I choose on that, and I choose it based on that, I probably won't lose. I probably won't win that match because I didn't pick the person that was best for me. And that's what happens in politics. So you get people in high places that aren't qualified for the job, but they have the right color, culture, ethnicity, and background, or sexual orientation. You know, if they have the right qualifications, then by all means pick the person, you know, whatever color and all that. But you don't just go out and say, well, if I'm elected president, my vice, I know I'm an old white man, but you know what? I'll sure make sure that my vice is at least a little brown. That's not how it works. You gotta do things all based on skill. Whether it's a job, whether it's anything else, it's based on skill. In the person's resume, you know, sight unseen with what's on their resume. If you do it any other way, you are going to ruin the system. You know, you're going to ruin the system. You know, can you imagine a high-end company taking skill off of their hiring criteria and hiring people only based on sexual orientation and whatever else that they deem? People that like the color purple, people this, people that, and they don't use skill for it. How much would that company succeed in the future? How far would they go over hiring, over experience and qualifications? So, you see, the media lit the fuse, and the governor and the mayor held back the National Guard and the police both. They held them all back over political correctness. We don't want the mob to think that we're against them. We want the mob to know that we're on their side because we're leftists. We don't want anything to hinder them. So go ahead, let them burn down the cities. Let them do whatever. Free reign. And it's kind of ironic that, let me answer this. Somebody asked me this too. How come that Joseph Rosenbaum's 5 child molestations of boys ages 5 to 11 that he served 10 years in prison for, how come that couldn't be brought up in court? The reason you can't bring that up in court, Joseph Rosenbaum was the first guy shot. He had spent 10 years in prison. He molested 5 boys ages 5 to 11 with forcible, I can't say some of these words, with forcible rape somewhere on the kid's body. Why that couldn't be brought up in court is because Kyle didn't know at the time of the shooting that this was his record. If the prosecution has to do what they call opening the door, if the prosecution opens the door by bringing up Joseph Rosenbaum's past history, criminal history, then the defense can jump in with it. But they can't open that door. You're not allowed to administer that in court if he didn't know that his previous record. You can't use that. But it's kind of ironic that Joseph Rosenbaum had that record, and then the second guy that was killed had a rape charge, but it was of an adult woman. He raped an adult woman, and he also had he stabbed his brother in his ear hole because he didn't clean his room, and he put his sister in the hospital. He kicked her in the hip, and trust me, guys, I know what I'm talking about here. I'm not just making this up. This is real life records here. The second guy, Huber, that got killed, he had stabbed his brother in the ear hole with a knife because he didn't clean his room in the house, and it was a little brother, and then he kicked his sister so hard that she had to go to the hospital and have her hip treated. And he also had a rape charge of an adult woman. Grosskreutz guy, the guy that he shot his arm off, that guy had a couple, I think it was 2 burglary charges and another like laundry list of small charges and all kinds of different things going on with him as well. But I just find it ironic that all the martyrs are always turn out to be these horrible people in society. You know, horrible. I mean, can you imagine 5 molesting and raping 5 different boys, 5 to 11, and he's out in 10 years back on the streets? Well, that was one minor that he didn't get his hands on. Kyle was one minor that he'll never touch. Now, I kind of jokingly mentioned this to somebody. There's a possibility that Kyle Rittenhouse watches my videos. Why do I say that? Not because I'm famous, no. But because I've been doing this since 2008, and Kyle's a gun guy. And most gun guys have at least seen my videos. People I meet for a gun transaction, people I meet in a face-to-face, they'll say, hey, you sound familiar. They weren't subscribed to me, but they had seen videos that I have done along the way through all these years. And back in 2008 through 2012, the gun community wasn't millions like it is now. It was few and far between. So I have contacted Kyle Rittenhouse over his social media. He's back on social media, by the way. They had to open up all of his social media sites or face lawsuits. All the social media sites shut him down. And now all of his accounts are back. But you're not going to be able to just get to him and message him. But with all that being said, it's the media the media is always the fuse. Everybody's responsible for their own actions, okay? So the people that light the fires in the cities, they're responsible for striking that match. But I'm here to tell you that the media is the fuse that gets these people going. They're always the fuse that gets these people going. And then it always turns out later that the media had all the facts messed up. Kyle never crossed state lines with an AR-15. Everybody always, you know, the old adage that he crossed state lines with an AR-15. Never happened. Then they were saying his mom took him there. Never happened. His dad lives in Kenosha. He works in Kenosha. His family and friends are in Kenosha. He lived right outside of it. So it was his second home. His dad lived there. His gun was at his friends that lived in Kenosha. There's so many things that the media had false. Now they've retracted it, and they put up retractions, but they're buried. You'd have to look them up to find them. And now the damage is already done. And all this, you know, goofy, supremacist stuff and all this other stuff. The kid couldn't even vote. He was only 17 years old. He couldn't even vote. And then they said this kid that was a lifeguard and was in the Police Explorers, you know, a little kid with his little tie on. They were saying that he was in an organized militia. Come on, 17 years old. Come on, man. So the damage is done. He'll be rich. His lawyers now have lawsuits on several different entities. They're not going after everyone. They're only going after the ones that they got a solid case on. And the lawyers are going after the people that slandered him before there was ever even a judge and jury. And he will be rich. He probably will never have to work again in his life. He does have PTSD, and he has a dog. He has a PTS dog that was given to him as a puppy. I believe it's like it's a lab. It's a light-colored dog. But he has a dog for PTSD that was given to him as his puppy, and the dog goes everywhere with him for PTSD from what happened. What else was I going to say? In my mind, what was on trial, it was much more to me than Kyle. I don't know him, never met him, probably will never meet him or speak to him. It wasn't him. I had no vested interest in Kyle Rittenhouse. What was on trial was self-defense and our Second Amendment. That was what was on trial to me. That was the whole important thing of the case. He was no more to me than a stranger on the street. But it was upholding. If that had lost and he had been found guilty and charged with murder, you might as well throw your CCW permits in the trash. Because there would never be a situation where you could ever be justified for anything ever if that wasn't justified. Somebody pointing a gun at your head, like happened there. So it was our Second Amendment rights that were on trial. I believe this. That's why that trial was so big. That's why it was so huge. That's why it was so important. It wasn't because of him. I don't know him. I don't know him from some guy on the street driving a car down the road right now. but it was our Second Amendment that was on trial. If he lost that case, we were done. You would have there would never be a self-defense case. But thankfully it was upheld, and yes, a big win for the Second Amendment. I'm reading some comments. Also, Gun Owners of America got him a AR-15 and sent it to him. Gun Owners of America got him a nice AR-15, and it's being sent to him. Also, in that state, possession of an AR-15 is legal by 16 and above. Now, you can't buy it, but you can possess it, right, for different things. You can't purchase it, but you can possess it, just like tobacco. You know, in the state I'm in, 16-year-olds can have and smoke and use tobacco, but they can't purchase it. But possession is not illegal. Also, in my state, marijuana is decriminalized. You can't go get it recreational, but small amounts are decriminalized. Just throwing that in there. So, let me know what you guys think. If you got any questions, put it up in the comments and I'll read them. I'm trying to read this comment here. Oh, never mind. I'm not even answering that. Yeah, so 9 Fuß. Dude out here stomping. Fuß. I'm just trying to think, guys. I always leave out stuff that I want to say when I'm doing these, so I'm trying to get my thoughts back in order. People walking by. I was just kind of watching Agar and the people, but I'm just trying to get my thoughts together and stuff. So, where do we go from here? Well, like everything else, the public will forget it in 2 months. Like everything else, it'll be forgotten. People have asked me, what do I think, how his life will be? It'll be a normal life. Sure, everybody will know it. It'll wear off later on. Does he have to worry about his safety? Yeah, not really. I don't believe that. I don't believe so. Need 24-hour security? Nah, I don't believe that. He's so high profile that if anybody comes at him on college campus or anything, they're going to know exactly when if he ever has to call the cops or anything, they're going to know exactly, basically the rundown of what's going on when they get there, because he's so high profile. This is a rare case where you already know the situation when you get there. So, here's the thing. Those guys really didn't even have any family. The ones that were the molester and the other one, they didn't even really have any family. So who is going to give their life for those guys? Who's willing to either spend their life in prison or lose their life trying to kill Kyle? I don't see it happening. Only the one guy had some kind of a distant aunt show up in court on his behalf. Everybody else had nobody. So I don't know of too many people that's out there that would be willing to give up their life and spend their life in jail for these guys. Like I said, it was a Second Amendment win versus loss. That's all it was. It's over. It's over. That's all it is. It wasn't, Kyle's not the issue. It was Second Amendment uphold or not upheld. One of the two things. Somebody asked me about the Tacoma. Tacoma's doing good. It's right out here. Hang on, I'll give you a shot. It's right out here. Yeah, it's doing good. Got, what, 23,000 miles on it. So it's barely, well, not even broke in yet. I like it. Like it a lot. There it is right there. If you guys got any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Oh yeah, also guys, look, I was telling you about you can't use people's past in the court if other people didn't know, but you can bring up the past. Let's say that a guy had a rape charge and he touches somebody inappropriately and then it goes to court. Well, if the charge that he's going to court for is similar to a charge in the past, it can be brought up, okay? It can be brought in to show a pattern and to show guilt because the person did it before. So if you have somebody that has a violent, let's say they did a violent act on someone and then they get into road rage and they do an act against someone again and get assault, well, their former charge of violence can be brought in because it coincides with a new charge, and that can also be used to give a harsher sentence as well. But if something has nothing to do with the charge previously, even if it's child molestation, they can't bring it up in the courtroom. There he is, my boy. My boy. So what are you guys asking for Christmas? Anything special? Any guns? I don't have anybody that can buy me guns, so don't feel bad if you're not asking for guns. Somebody just asked me, Keith, should I go with the Glock 19 or the 26? Go with the. I would say. I mean, I like them all, but go with the 19. I'd say. I just like a little bit bigger grip, and if you ever go to resell it, it'll have a higher value. The 19 is the most popular civilian selling handgun in the United States. I prefer a 17, but I got double XL hands. But you'll never go wrong with a 19 or a 26, either way, because you can put up to a 33-round magazine in a 26. If you put your 17-round magazines in a 19, you barely can tell it's even extended. So that's kind of cool too. Nice. Somebody just told me their son sent them some ammo. Can't go wrong there. What I want? I got a Trijicon RMR, so I want a mount so I can put it on my CZ Scorpion. The braced pistol, CZ Scorpion. I want to put my Trijicon RMR on there, but I need the mount, and the mounts are like $150. So that's one of the things I wanted. Cobra Cuffs, that's what I use for work. I use Cobra Cuffs. Look them up if you don't know what they are. It's super lightweight, forget metal. Super lightweight Cobra Cuffs. They're what the Army uses. They're a plastic. You'll have to look them up, but they're a plastic, and they're called Cobra Cuffs. They weigh almost nothing. They're like 2 ounces, maybe, and they're just as strong. They'll work just as good as steel. I need some more of those. What else? I can't remember right off the bat. There was something else I needed. I can't think of right now. Oh, Therium battery pack to put on my body armor to carry extra 18650s for my Surefire here. I'll get it out and show you. My Surefire dual fuel. I gotta tell you, this light's working like a champ. I've run this every single day. I would say almost every single day. It's never burned up. It works like a champ. But I wanted the, I got this Therium ring on there. I wanted the Therium battery holder. It's a hard case that hooks on my body armor, my exterior body armor, Molly, and then you open it from the bottom, and the battery drops out, and you can just refill this right in. That's what I want. Right now, I've been throwing the batteries, spare batteries, into my phone pouch on my body armor. I got a pouch on my body armor to carry my phone, so if I'm getting out of vehicles a lot, I can have my phone handy. So, other than that, that's about the only things I needed. You know, that's it. Cobra Cuffs, Theorem battery holder, and mount for my CZ Scorpion. Yeah, I like the Surefire dual fuel. It's really worked well for me. It's a bright light and more light than you need, but what I like is the candela on it. It's got 25,000 candela. It's even more candela than lights that are brighter, look brighter, and have higher lumen. So here's the thing. Let me kind of get nerdy technical with you. Candela is what you want if you want to use this also as a self-defense thing in darkness. So basically, how you use a light as self-defense is if there's darkness, you can disorient somebody, but it's got to be dark. The darker, the better, because you want someone's lights or someone's eyes adjusted to the darkness, and then when you hit them with light like this, that disrupts everything, and they won't be able to see for a while. If there's ambient light or you're in here, it's not going to work as well. Their eyes have to be fully adjusted to the darkness. The darker, the better. So candela is a more piercing light. The more candela, the more further like the throw it has. So you could bring a light right now to me and turn it on, and it'll look way brighter to me in here. But the candela won't be as much as this. This is 25,000 candela. This thing is so bright that I've tested this before, and I would close my eyes in darkness. If I'm out in darkness, I would close my eyes, point this at my eyes with my eyes closed, turn it on, and I would open my eyes, and I still couldn't see for a little bit, even with my eyes closed. That's how bright this thing is. So it's a very, very low level of defense. I use it for work, and I use it when I'm off work, but it's a very low level of defense. We're talking low level, but it's still, it can be used for defense. But I like the thing. I carry it everywhere. I use it all the time. LED's never burnt, never gets too hot. And I just think the first one I had was a lemon. Surefire hooked me up. I don't even think I told them about my videos. They hooked me up. So, pretty happy with that. Backup lights are O-light. Smaller lights are O-light. But yeah, guys, other than that, if you got any questions, put them up in the comments right now. If it's a good one, I'll answer you. You know, anything to do about the case. I'm trying to think of other questions that I've had people that talk to me about. Not like people are calling me and asking me, you know, questions. I'm not a lawyer, but I've had just in discussions with people, they've asked me questions, and we've discussed things about the case and why things were done a certain way. Now, him being put on the stand was very rare. You don't have to go on the stand at all. And most lawyers in this country were shocked when he was put on the stand, because one mess up and that could be it. Jack Bauer just told me that his Surefire is doing great. Yes, 18650. Okay, so you do not have to go on the stand. Like, let's say, for instance, I can't think of any. I'm just going to give you a high-profile case so that you can, that everybody knows about. We'll just say OJ. He didn't take the stand. They say that when you take the stand, and we all know OJ did it, but but when you take the stand, you open yourself up to one wrong word, and the prosecutor is an expert normally. This guy wasn't. Binger didn't know his elbow from a hole in the ground. But normally the prosecutor is an expert, and the prosecutor, yeah, you can take the fifth. But the prosecutor is normally going to try to trip you up. And if the jury sees you trip up, then that could be a mistake. That's why normally they don't want to put the guy on the stand. It was a good thing, though, they put him on the stand. It ended up being a good thing, because the kid was way smarter than any of us knew. And, oh, I know what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Hang with me here. One of the things that was brought up, and I've been telling you guys this for years, and this was just confirmed by Massad Ayub. You guys know him? Massad Ayub is on the Wilson Combat channel on YouTube, and he is the foremost #1 legal expert in shootings and self-defense shootings, and he's been in this since the 80s. It's Ayoob is his last name. Look him up on YouTube. He just made a video confirming what I've been telling you guys for years. If you ever have to pull your gun, you are only shooting to stop a threat. We are not an executioner, and I may be doing a separate video on this. We are not an executioner. We did not decide to kill someone under any circumstance. Now, if we use self-defense and we fire our weapon at someone, as a side consequence, they may die or they may not die. Right? Who is it? That rapper 50 Cent has been shot 9 times. He's still alive, right? We do not shoot to kill. We shoot to stop the threat. Right? If somebody breaks into my home tonight, and as I round the corner, if that guy is as fast as lightning and he cuts the corner and takes off toward my door, I won't be firing anything at him. Now, you might want to, and you might say, oh, man, I would. I sure would. I'd shoot him. But the thing is, just legalities, even having castle doctrine, it's not something that you would want to do, right? Or if somebody broke into your home and you fired a shot at them and it hit them somewhere and they take off running, that's that, right? That's all you're going to be doing is you're going to be calling the police and you're going to be telling them the description and what happened. And, they'll be checking hospitals for the guy. But we are not killing people. Yeah, but the thing is, guys, is somebody just told me they just watched Massad Ayub's video. I'm not copying him, I swear to you, since 2008, or no, probably 2010. I've been doing this since 2008, but 2010, I've been telling you guys that you can only shoot to stop the threat. That's all you're doing, is stopping the threat. We're not pointing a gun saying my intent here is to kill, right? We're only stopping the threat. That's all that happens. Like if you were to go to, like even, your mace, if you were to spray your pepper spray at somebody and it maybe don't even really hit them, but they turn and run, you stop the threat. But when we shoot, we're just stopping the threat. Now, as a consequence of that, there is a chance they could perish. That they could perish in that. There's a chance they could live. We don't know either way. You could have a shooting with 10 different people and you could have 10 different outcomes. And when Kyle was on the stand, I remember, I think this is why Massad made that video. Kyle was on the stand and they said, were you shooting to kill? And I just literally cringed and tightened up to no end. And I was like, please say the right thing. And he said, no. He said, all I was doing was stopping the threat. Because that's exactly what you're doing. I've had people tell me, oh, somebody comes in my house, I'm killing them. I wouldn't go saying that in court. If somebody ever breaks in and you shoot them, I wouldn't go to court and say that. You can say that, when you're drinking beer and you're with your buddies, you can say that. But if you ever have to go to court and you say, yeah, when he broke in my house, he's dead. I knew it. That's why I shot him like that. You're done. You're not saying that could get you convicted, but you might have a much harder time. So let me talk to you about castle doctrine. Most states have castle doctrine. Where I'm at, it's very good castle doctrine. Castle doctrine, we now have stand your ground in Ohio. Stand your ground law just means anywhere you are lawfully and legally allowed to be, you don't have a duty to run. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you can just shoot somebody for whatever. It just means that if I'm in here with this dog and a guy comes in here with a hammer and runs at me and the dog, I don't have to first run like this. I can stand here, and when he gets to me, if he doesn't stop, I can shoot that man. If it's legal, and if the precedent rises to the use of force for me, I can do that without running first. Okay, so castle doctrine in the home, if you're in a free state, basically means that if somebody breaks into your home, there was already a presumption that this man is going to do you serious bodily harm or death. And even if he's not armed and you shoot the man, you will not get charged most times. Now, we don't, I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to say that that's 100, whatever circumstances are. You can't know the person. It can't be an ex-lover. It can't be an ex-husband, an ex-wife. But if somebody breaks into your home, you have a presumption already that there's serious bodily harm or death. It's already presumed. It's your castle, right? So the threshold is much lower to use deadly force in your home or in your car than there is anywhere else. Just because it's your home. It's supposed to be your safest place is in your home. And especially if you have children. Now, people have asked me this. Let me go down this road. Is there ever a case you can shoot somebody in the back and it be legal? 100%. Let me tell you a case of shooting somebody in the back and it being legal. Somebody's in your home and they have a weapon and they run down the hallway to where your children's bedroom is. And as they're running down the hallway, you shoot them in the back. You didn't think of that one, did you? You didn't think of that scenario, did you? That would be legal. All right, buddy. Somebody just told me they're leaving. I'll see you. Now, if somebody's in your home and they turn to run out of your front door and you shoot them as they're running out of the front door, man, you better get a good lawyer. You better get a good lawyer. But if somebody's in your home and they're running towards your kid's bedroom or where your wife's bedroom or where your wife's bedroom, where your wife is at and you're out of the bed, you could shoot in the back to stop that. Right? They've already committed a felony. So, there's that. So like I said, don't take this as law or legal advice. I'm just giving you some basic, generic info that you can look up and do research on. Yeah, no duty to retreat, but castle doctrine is even a little bit better. Castle doctrine in the home is even a little bit better. But, stand your ground is just no duty to retreat. I don't have to run first. It used to be that you had to run until you were cornered, or run until the guy was out of breath and couldn't run anymore. That just makes no sense. No common sense whatsoever. That's long gone. Let me tell you guys something else that people didn't know that I was explaining to someone about self-defense law. You're gonna have to look up your state, okay? Because I don't know every state. When you have a self-defense encounter, you're considered innocent and the defense must prove guilt. Some states have it to where if you have self-defense, you have to prove innocence. Does that make sense to you guys? In Ohio, they just changed this law a year ago. In Ohio, if you had a self-defense shooting, you used to have to prove innocence. Now it's changed to match all the other free states to where the prosecutor has to prove guilt. You don't have to say anything. You can take the fifth. You don't have to do anything. The prosecutor has to prove, and you're presumed innocent. Now it has to be a case where that there's questionable that self-defense. It can't just be you go in and you walk up, you shoot somebody, and then you try to use self-defense. It has to be a case where there's an element of self-defense that is legal in that case. But the prosecutor has the burden to prove it. You don't have to prove innocence. So our country was founded with the intent of self-defense law and the right of a man to his right to life. Now, here's another thing I want to tell you guys. Man, it just keeps coming back to me and coming back to me. You do not have to get hurt before you use self-defense. If a guy comes in here with a baseball bat right now and comes at me with that bat, I don't have to have bruised legs, bruised shoulders, and a bruised chest when I go down to the station to explain what happened or get my lawyer. I don't have to have bruises all over me and say I shot the guy. I don't have to have that. Self-defense is to stop the harm or the death. It has to rise to serious bodily injury or death. It has to meet that 2 criteria. It has to. If not, you better get a good lawyer. But I don't have to get hurt first. The jury is told to put yourself in the person's shoes, and would a reasonable person have felt fear at the time in his situation? If the answer to that is yes, then there's reasonable doubt he's not guilty. Not guilty. Would the person in that circumstance at that time have felt fear of his life or serious injury? If that answer is yes, there's reasonable doubt. It's done. I'm trying to read a comment here. It says, I have heard if you have carry insurance. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know anything about that with the carry insurance. I haven't heard too much about that. But the thing is, though, under all circumstances, if you ever have to use self-defense, make sure it's legal and lawful and it rises to the precedent of using self-defense, and then get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. First thing. Get a lawyer. But if you can, try to avoid anything to deal with that. The last thing you ever want to do is have to do that. But I've heard of people having the carry insurance and stuff, or where you get a lawyer and stuff, which, yeah, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see nothing wrong with that at all. Like I said, the whole thing in Kenosha was a political left-wing prosecutor that and the leaders of the state and city wanting to take the blood off of their hands. That's all that was. They wanted to get a conviction, and there was no way they were going to get it. Man, I've been rambling on for a while, guys. It's been like 40 minutes. He's out here chewing on acorns. All right, guys. Well, I guess I better end this stream. It's been nice talking with you. I'm just out here letting him roam around and have fun. So, hope you guys have a good week. And I'll talk to you guys real soon. Later, everybody.